Hi, I'm Laura. So when I walked in and said, I'm sitting next to Dr. Sims, I hope I don't have to follow her. That's kind of what I said earlier. And I don't have a nice written out speech because that's not what I do. I'm not a public speaker at all. And it's going to be a little tricky for me to stand behind this podium even for 2 minutes, let alone 10, but watch me, y'all, I'll try. Is Jonathan Butler in here? I saw him a minute ago. I'm very excited about the celebrity in our midst as Mizzou alumni. I've never been proud that I went to Mizzou until this year, y'all. Never been proud of that before. It was just a place where I could get a degree. But this year, something different happened. So I'm the executive director of More Squared. What Metro Organization for Racial and Economic Equity is we're a faith-based community organizing group. We have 27 congregations Metro-wide, 18 of them here in Kansas City, Missouri. We work in Missouri and Kansas on race issues, racial equity issues, and economic equity issues. You can talk to me about that anytime. Right now, we just, as of yesterday, launched a series where 200 people went to 5 different congregations on a snowy Sunday afternoon and had real conversations on race. Not that light surface stuff that we think is real, like real conversations on race, where we talked about systemic racism. And Ed Kyle, who's right there, Ed has information about a conversation that any of you are welcome to join. I just wanted to give a plug to that. But I'm not going to talk very much about More Square today. I'm going to talk a whole lot about money. So I want to tell you a little bit of story of something that happened during my career. It was about 2009. I'd been a social worker here for 15 years at that time. And I was building programs for people returning from incarceration. And we were doing good work. And I was organizing for the first time. I was really organizing for the first time, and we were working on public policy. As I look out here, I know a lot of you from that time. We were working on public policy. So we weren't just helping people get coats and shoes and stuff when they come back from prison. We were helping create real opportunities for people when they get back and helping remove the systemic barriers, like you couldn't get a liquor license in Kansas City, Missouri, so that meant you couldn't work in Costco if you had a felony. You couldn't work in a gas station, you couldn't work in a grocery store. So we started working on things like that to allow people real job opportunities. And yet I was going home every night and kind of sick about the work I was doing. And the reason I was sick was I was unsettled that I wasn't doing enough. And it just looked like, it looked so big, y'all. That problem looks so big when you look at it. You know about mass incarceration and what's happening with people going to prison, the amount of money going to private institutions, the American Corrections Association. And it sounds so nice, right? But it's not ain't nothing nice about that. And we see that same level of privatization now happening with charter schools, right? And we certainly saw it first with war expenditures. We know that 59% of the nation's budget goes to war funding, military expenses. And you know what? You know what? That's not going to our soldiers, right? Because we're talking about homeless soldiers every day. Why is that? If 59% of our federal budget is going into military expenditures, where is it going? It's going to private defense contractors, right?
Yes.
Right? So I started thinking in these kind of ways, and again, the problem just seems so big, right? Mass incarceration, that's huge. That's huge. And I do this work because I should have been incarcerated. That's no lie. That's no lie. People laugh when the white girl says that, but it's real. And people who actually know me, they aren't too surprised to hear me say that. But I saw myself when I was working in a prison in Missouri. I saw myself in a man whose last name happened to be King, who was sitting across from me telling me his story, and his story was my story. Except that I was deciding his fate, whether he would get out of prison or not. And he wasn't in college like I was. So I indebted myself. I said, I'm going to do something about this. I need to do something about this to live with myself. And again, fast forward then to about 15 years from that time, 2009, and I wasn't sleeping at night. And I was making more money as a social worker than a social worker maybe ought to make around here. I was doing better than I'd ever done before, and the more I made, the worse I felt. And so I realized, let me do something about this, just to ease my soul. And I feel funny even telling people about this publicly, because I didn't do it for y'all, I did it for me at the time, just to soothe my soul. So I said, I'm going to embark on this journey in 2010. I'm going to move my money. I'm going to spend my money only in Black-owned businesses this year, here in Kansas City. I don't know if y'all know this, but that's a little tricky around here. So I started doing some research. I set out to do this around October. I said, I'm going to start in January. I got to give myself some time to figure out where are all the Black-owned businesses in Kansas City. I know about some soul food. I know about all kinds of food and drink, but what else, right? Girl needs clothes, a baby needs Christmas presents, things like that, right? So I had to figure all this out. I did some research for a while, and I just interpersonally decided to set upon this journey. But as I start talking to people, I start talking to a lot of friends. Y'all who know me know my friends are mostly Black, and I start talking to them, and they're like, girl, you crazy. You know, saying things like that. Or I spend my money where I get good service. That's what the man who I was dating was telling me. You don't need to do that. That's a waste of time. What will that do? It'll help me sleep at night, because I know that Black-owned businesses employ Black people, and I'm making my money off of Black men who've been incarcerated, who can't get jobs.
Well.
So maybe I should reinvest in the people who are going to invest in them, in this community.
Yeah.
Just maybe. And maybe I can sleep at night. So this little thing happened. My reporter friend who's pregnant, who left to probably do an interview, she was just in the room. Lisa Benson calls me up at the end of February. I've been doing this for 2 months. And she says, I pitched your story today. I didn't even know what she was talking about. You pitched my story. And she's like, girl, I pitched the story 5 times. And they're going to do it today. And I still didn't know what she was talking about. I want to do a story on you shopping in Black-owned businesses. And I said, no. I don't want to do that publicly. I don't want to tell a bunch of people that I'm doing this thing, because it's for me, it's personal, it's for my soul. And she said, look at your calendar. And I said, okay, right, I know yesterday was your birthday. You want me to do this for your birthday? And she said, no, check your calendar. It's the end of February. They ain't going to do this story again. It's Black History Month. We've got 1 day to do this story. If I pitch it in March, they won't do it. So I said, okay, I'll do this little story. And so we went to a couple of businesses I go to. She interviewed business owners. She talked to them about people doing this, right? She gets back to the newsroom. The news director said, oh, it's very interesting she's white, because nobody pitched a story that way, because she knows me, and, you know, it's almost irrelevant, my race to my friends, right? Almost. So when the story ran on NBC, Action News that weekend, it got so many hits because people were interested in it, but more importantly, a lot of people were deeply offended by this, right? That a white lady had the audacity to give all of her money to some Black folks. And so what happened was, and I told you I was making more money than I ever made as a social worker, but I wasn't making any money that they need to be worried about, but they were concerned about this, right? So it got more hits than any other story that weekend. And CNN picked it up and put it on their national site. And then I started getting hate mail. I started getting, on social media, people sending me swastikas and stuff. And I was like, I've never seen anything like this in my life, right? And so for me, it was the first time that I got a little baby glimpse of what it might be like to really struggle with oppression in this community. It was just a glimpse. I'm not comparing myself to anybody of any other race by any stretch, but I got a little glimpse of what it felt like to walk in a room and not know who in that room might hate you. And I got the hate mail for a minute, and they said some real ugliness about my child. How do you know my child? You know, I don't know where it's coming from. I called a reporter friend that many of you know, Mary Sanchez, and she did some research for me, and she said, yeah, you're the race traitor of the week on the White Aryan Brotherhood website. So somehow they found the story and picked it up, right? I was the race traitor of the week. It's the proudest title I've ever gotten, y'all, for real. But it scared me. I remember I just put on my jogging shoes and was getting ready to go on a jog when I heard that, and it frightened me, right? So I'm telling you all this to say you can do it, you can move your money, And let's be serious, this is really dangerous stuff we're talking about. This is how Dr. King was assassinated. People were worried about my little, I don't know, I was making probably $40-some thousand a year. They were worried about where that was going, you know? Can you imagine if all of y'all start talking about moving your money and investing in people that invest in the people that we say we love through all these marches and rallies and all this stuff that we do every day? What if you moved your money, as much of it as you could? You ain't got to dedicate a year to Leon's Thriftway, though that's nice if you can. You don't have to eat at Gates every day, though it's delicious. But there's ways that you can go and move your money in this community and reinvest. So we can do that interpersonally. I didn't do that to tell a story publicly. I did it for my soul. And I tell you, it soothes your soul to know that you're investing in people you love every day. You can do it through your business. You can do it through your business. You can do it through your workplace. You can challenge where every bit of your workplace money is spent. You should do it in your churches, your synagogues, your places of worship. You should do it everywhere you go. If you go to a business, a local business, and they buy plates from the wrong place, tell them as much. I want to come back here, but I want you to do business with somebody else because they don't do right by us. I want you to give up your Apple products because they don't do right by us. Okay? And then at a national level, we need to start calling this stuff out. We need to stop letting our legislators talk about what people on food stamps are eating when we have 60% of our federal budget going to defense expenditures. They're duping us. They're duping us.
Right.
So I will not be the butt of a joke, and I know y'all won't. So we need to just be calling the questions. We need to question within our own self first, and then question the people around us, and then we need to be calling those questions from a microphone. Where are you spending your money? And I ain't doing business with you if I don't like where you're spending your money. It's that simple.